again, Spooky Pretties, and welcome back. If you are tuning in after watching our spoiler-free review, we are now here with our spoiler review. And I'm back here again with my friend Morgan.
Hello.
She came to visit me so we could see the new Scream together. So it was really awesome to share this experience with her. Have we ever seen a film together? Yes, we saw that Unfriended.
Oh, yeah.
Was that, well, not Unfriended, Searching.
Yeah,
Searching.
I couldn't think of the name of it either.
Me neither. It kind of felt like that film Unfriended.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was Searching. And have we seen anything else?
Not at a movie theater, but
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've watched plenty of things at your house.
This is true. So I'm really glad she came to visit because I feel like it amplified the movie-going experience. It was fun.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you didn't catch it in our first video, we had even more fun by dressing up as Gail and Tatum from the original Scream.
Yep.
So if you see the skirt that Morgan is wearing, don't ask where it came from because it came from nowhere. Tell us the story about your skirt.
So both my shirt and my skirt got them from the thrift store, but when I bought the skirt, it was just orange. And so I painted the pattern on it. So, yeah.
She hand painted that design herself. So she made it Morgan, what we want to call it. Yeah. So you can follow Morgan on her Instagram. She talks about horror films and cosplays and crafts. And what is your Instagram handle?
It's at Morgan Jewel Swan.
Yes, check it out below. Click and follow. You won't be disappointed. All right, so now I think we need to insert a warning graphic. We are now headed into spoiler territory. We're going to go in depth for the new Scream.
Gonna get juicy.
Juicy in more ways than one with all that blood. Oh my God. All right, so here we go. What did you think of the intro with Jenna Ortega, aka Tara?
I really loved her intro. I really liked how long she talked to Ghostface just about like before she knew she was in danger. It was really interesting and seemed very chill. And even when he's like, "What's your favorite scary movie?" I don't know how she didn't find that weird the way he said it, but whatever.
He loose term.
Yeah, but yeah, I really liked it, except I didn't like how it cut to the title.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish it would have shown the cops like actually there and Ghostface running off or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely loved that we saw a different side of Ghostface, like Ghostface pretending to be someone else more. Like we get a little bit of that with the Casey Becker intro.
Yeah.
But this was definitely
Much more. I feel like Casey's is much more short.
Yeah, this one was interesting. And he actually tried to, like, you could still hear a little bit of Ghostface in there, but it was more like a relaxed voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could tell, like, he was really trying to throw her off in the beginning, where she obviously got comfortable to have, like, a full conversation with him. So I agree with you. I thought that was really interesting and really, really liked that aspect of the intro. However, I was a little disappointed because when the trailer came out, they were saying, you know, we're going to throw you off with our trailer. We filmed things so many different ways and don't expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
But then it ended up being Tara was the opening kill, but it wasn't a kill. Since we're talking spoilers, she didn't die. It was just a full-on brutal attack, which we saw lots of chunks in the trailer. So I was disappointed that we ended up seeing so much of it.
Yeah,
that was a little disappointing. But they did keep a lot of the dialogue out of the trailer, which was cool. It was very neat.
I feel like her injuries too, like it just, in the trailer, I feel like it just showed her getting stabbed like the one time in the beginning, but still, like...
Yeah. We did see the ankle snap, but we didn't know that it was her. Yeah. One of the trailers, I think, actually showed somebody's ankle or leg getting broken, but we weren't 100% sure it was going to be Tara, but then when they showed it, I was like, well, they showed that in the trailer, but again, we didn't know it was going to be her.
That was painful to watch.
All of that
and
was painful.
The stabbing through the hand.
Remnants of Olivia's kill in Scream 4. That was brutal. That's one thing we're going to talk about, how brutal and aggressive Ghostface is in this film. Don't you think it was a little different?
Yeah.
It was intense. So after Tara's attack, we are now introduced to the new hero of the film, Sam, or Samantha. And what did we think of her?
I'm not really a fan. I wouldn't say I disliked her. I just feel like there wasn't really anything compelling me to really care for her.
Kind of
Like, obviously I don't want her to die because I don't want, like, you know, but I don't know. Yeah, she was kind of blandish. I feel like they could have given her more personality.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. And I think they tried to do that with adding the element of having some mental health. Not stability. Instability. Is that a word? No. Instability. It's instability. Some mental instability with seeing her dead father. Which, let's talk about that for a second. Why was it that nobody in this film seemed shocked that Billy Loomis had a daughter? It was like she announced it, and the audience was probably like, holy shit. But the characters in the film were like, okay.
They're like, oh, okay.
They were
like,
just like,
I kind of get them not being shocked, but I still feel like they should have said more.
Yeah, like Dewey should have been like, wait, what? You're Billy's daughter? Like, I liked what he said,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I did like what he said, though. He's like, that is not a good reason for me to let you in.
But I still feel like he would have been like, wait, what? And then maybe asked a little more questions.
Yeah, like, wait, how old are you?
Yeah. Maybe try to piece the timeline together. Maybe even ask who her mother was.
Yeah.
Like, maybe they were friends with her. Nobody seemed to care, like, who her mother was. The fact that Billy was her father, it just, like, went over everybody's heads. Even Sydney was like, so you're Billy's daughter.
Yeah, Sam's like, that must be weird for you. And Sydney's like, nah.
Just have a little element of shock, like something. I don't know. That just felt off to me. But whatever. But I agree with you on Sam. I feel like there were other characters I enjoyed more. I enjoyed her sister Tara more. I enjoyed probably Mindy more. Which tends to happen. Side characters always, you know, get to our hearts in this fan base. But usually everybody loves the hero. Everybody's obsessed with Sydney. And I don't feel like I had that pull towards Sam, which, you know, disappointing. But we all tend to relate to other characters more. And I don't know. They did try to make her a little more interesting with seeing her dead dad. But let's talk about that for a second since we're on the subject. How do you feel that worked? Did it work?
The first time, so we saw it twice and went back to back. We saw it at one theater and then we left and went to see it at another theater. And so during our first showing, when it first happened, I was like, oh God, why?
100% agree.
I feel like just the concept in general is just like a little like, oh God. But also like, it just looked bad. Like, it was bad CGI. Like, obviously, Skeet was actually there, but they did edit his face to, like, de-age him. But it didn't really work out that well.
Yeah.
And I feel like it looked really weird. Which, I mean, I guess isn't that bad since he's just supposed to be a figment of her imagination. But still, like, it just doesn't look pretty on screen, you know? Yeah. But, yeah. But so during our first showing, I was just like, this is, they need to stop making him appear. But then during the second showing, I was like, oh, I feel like he wasn't in it that much. It wasn't that bad. But, I mean, that is my least favorite part of the movie by far.
Him being in her head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have been better if they maybe just made her hear his voice.
I agree.
Or something, just because, or even just made him look old. Like, she's just imagining how he would look like old, you know?
Yeah.
If he was still alive. Like, I feel like that would have been better than what they did because he looked so computer generated, even though Skeet was actually there. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a huge fan of that at all. I didn't think it looked good, and we've seen technology out there that can look good, like they did with Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia in the Star Wars films. And yeah, maybe they don't have that type of budget, but it just didn't look good.
They should have not tried then.
And it was shocking. And I almost feel like they did that to appease some of the fans that wanted Billy or Stu to come back. I almost felt like they
For sure.
only put that in there to make those fans happy. I was not one of those fans. I had no desire to have either of them come back. Maybe in a flashback. I would have preferred a full-on flashback with maybe some CGI. I would have maybe enjoyed that more, not this. And if they did want to go with the mental, her struggling with the fact that Billy's her dad, I can totally get. She found that out when she was 13, which is like, especially for girls, prime puberty time. And I'm sure when she found that out, it hit her really hard and made her, reevaluate her entire life and who she was going to be when she grew up. I can totally understand that. But like Morgan said, I think they could have pulled that off with her hearing voices and hearing her dad's voice. I think visually seeing Billy threw me off and was like, what is this film about to be?
Yeah.
It was odd. So, not necessary. If you want to go down that route, I'm totally 100% voices only because it just didn't work for me. But, oh well. And also, I don't know if I'm going to be able to articulate what I'm feeling in my head about this, but at the end when she's about to, spoiler, kill Richie, because he's one of the killers, and Billy appears and is like, hey, there's a knife over there, get him. Like, it almost felt like they were trying to get us to like Billy and to, in her mind, like, get her dad's approval, like, yeah, this is okay, do it to him. Like, I don't know, there's something about that makes me feel icky. Like I don't know. Like, it's okay to kill him just this one time. Just this once. Like, let your crazy out. Let this side of me out. Which I'm sure some fans probably loved. But, like, I'm not cool with, let's kill people.
Yeah.
It just felt icky to me. That's all I can say. And I don't think I'm describing it how it's in my head. But that whole, like, scene where he was like, yeah, do it, wasn't necessary. She could have just picked that up on her own and fucked him up without us seeing Billy pushing her to do it or encouraging her to do it. I don't know. It was odd. I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying at all?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the killers pretty early in this video because let's just get it out of the way. Because there's stuff that happens in the movie that now that we know who the killers are, it makes more sense
or doesn't make sense.
Exactly. Let's talk about Amber. When I made the trailer breakdown with my friend Jenna a couple months ago, I said in that video, the unedited version, that to keep an eye out on Amber, or Mikey Madsen, that's the actress's name. She was in the film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and she played a crazy psycho bitch in that movie. Sorry to call her a bitch, but that's what her character kind of was. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
She loves Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, so.
Yep. Yeah, we both talked about that as soon as the trailer came out. We were like, because I think we were like the only two people in our friend group that had seen the movie. So we were like, ooh.
Yeah, so she was so good and crazy in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that I was like, there's no way they're going to cast this actress who is so good at playing crazy and not have her be a killer. You can confirm I've said that
yes.
for a few months. And also, that bothers me because they not only use the crazy that she has in her, which is great, but they literally almost like copied and pasted her character from that film to this film to the point where in both films she dies by fire.
Yep.
It's so crazy. And spoiler, I'm sorry, if you haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I should have edited, or I should have shouted it out.
Scream and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood spoilers.
But yeah, she gets lit on fire in both, and she briefly comes back to life in both after she's been burnt.
And screams very similarly. She's just like, ah.
Yeah, it's just too much. So that was disappointing because they literally copied the same character, in my opinion. So
yeah.
If you haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, watch it and then compare the characters and the deaths because they're so similar.
Yeah, which is why, like, so also, obviously, I did have the same thought because I knew Mikey had the ability to play Psycho, but I was thinking, like, I don't think they would do that, though, since, like, because I feel like that would be a little too obvious. So, but no, they did it.
They did it. But also what was wrong with Amber, well, maybe not with Amber per se, but like, and this is kind of how it is with all the ghost faces, like especially with Jill, and even Charlie, because Charlie's kind of small.
Yeah. He is.
Amber very clearly was 5, I don't know, maybe 5'5" at the most, which is what I am, if not shorter. She had a smaller stature and build. She was roughly the same size as Tara.
Yeah.
But yet Ghostface was towering over Tara and
towering over Dewey.
towering over Dewey, who's probably 6 feet. That doesn't make sense. The boots they wear do not add that many inches, guys. Don't rely on the boots. Like, and it's very clear, like, maybe she had some shoulder pads, whatever. But she did not look like an athlete like Chad. It's not impossible for a girl to kick some ass. We've all seen it. We can all kick some ass. But, like, to literally be able to kill Dewey the way she kills him, because it is her that kills him. It's not Richie. Richie's in the elevator. It's not possible for Richie to be the one killing Dewey. To wield knives like that and to be able to have the strength to literally raise up, and that takes some power from even a strong man or woman who works out every day. That would be hard to do. So a 17, 18-year-old girl could not take down Dewey like that. I just don't think so. Not Richie would have had trouble with that. Like, it's not an easy thing to do. And I know Ghostface is supposed to be strong and badass, but we have to remember there's no paranormal or supernatural element to Ghostface.
I feel like they could have fixed it really easily by just like whenever Amber and Richie were talking about like their plan, they could have been like, so then we've been training or something, you know. Right. Even that would have like, obviously it still wouldn't have explained like the height difference and stuff, but you know, that could have like helped a little bit and been like, okay. And
maybe they did. They obviously,
true. Movies always cut a ton of stuff out, and especially in this Scream, you can tell where they cut certain things, and because of, like, you know, talk that's been on the internet since the movie was first announced, that they cut a lot of stuff, so.
Yeah. So they very well could have known that they were going to do this. Obviously, they planned it, so they could have been working out, but, like, physically looking at someone, you can just tell, like, she's not that height. She's not that build. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's really, really hard to believe. And it was hard to believe with Jill as well and Charlie as well. But don't come for me and say, oh my God, you're saying women can't be strong. That's not what I'm saying. It's just...
It's not even about women being strong. It's about, in the Scream movies, they literally, like, the actors that play the killers are not Ghostface in the robe. Like, during the killing scenes.
Correct.
It's a completely different dude. And they never get somebody, like... Normally in film, like, everyone has, like, body doubles or stunt doubles or whatever, and that are the same height and hair color and skin color and all that jazz. They clearly don't do that for ghost faces because they don't want you to be able to guess and be like, oh, this ghost face is small. Clearly it has to be a girl. But, like, at the same time, that kind of screws them because then it's like, wait, the ghost face wasn't small like her.
It just... Like I was starting to say, there's no supernatural aspect to Ghostface. Ghostface is human. That's what makes him so different from, like, Jason and Michael. He doesn't have that element of whatever you want to call it, like superhuman powers. Like, even though they kind of talk about it a little bit with Scream 3 and Roman, but that's just because, you know, Roman learns to put on a bulletproof vest and all that jazz. But still, like... They're normal, everyday human beings, so they shouldn't be doing crazy, supernatural power. I don't know. I'm not saying that's a power move, but I think you get what I'm saying. So, yeah, that's always been a thing for me in the Scream films, is it's very clear that the people under the robes are not the killers that we see, like the characters. Like, they're stuntmen. They're stunt people.
Yeah.
So... That's always been something in my head that's a little bothersome, but you gotta overlook it a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyways, but what did we like about Amber and Richie?
Well, first of all, both of them were amazing actors. Like, especially Jack Quaid, because Richie obviously was a big comedic element of the movie, and he was very... very good at that and being funny, but also good at being psycho when the time came for that. And it was very different from Stu's funny and psychoness, because Stu, even though he's like funny, is still kind of like, he's like a jerky funny, you know?
Yeah.
But Jack Quaid's Richie was like adorable funny, you know, like friendly funny.
Or nerdy.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, I agree completely. And I think that's why I'm kind of bummed he was a killer for a couple reasons.
Yeah.
One, because his character was so fun and lovable and definitely would have done great continuing on in a potential sequel. Or even just we love that character. And then for him to be a killer, that's a bummer because we don't like assholes. But also, I was bummed he was a killer because the boyfriend's been done before. Like, I love that Dewey called it out. There's a scene with Dewey, Sam, and Richie, and he says, "How long have you known this guy? Are you sure he's who he says he is?" I love that Dewey was right. Justice for Dewey. But at the same point, I feel like that was a tired thing. I was really hoping this would be the film that they had 2 female characters. Or even just one female character. I cannot believe they did another boy-girl, because they've done Mrs. Loomis and Mickey. They've done Jill and Charlie. They've done boy-girl before. Where's the girl? Like, sorry, I'm ready for that film. I wanted to see it, and I thought this was going to be it. I just wanted something different.
Yeah. And I feel like we should just get it out of the way. The whole motive thing. Weren't too big fans on their motives.
No.
But, and even though, like, there's that whole thing, not liking the motives and being disappointed that it was Richie because we liked Richie, I still thought, I kind of liked him being the killer because it was kind of unexpected, even though that is a trope. Not even just in movies, but in real life. Like, literally loved ones, or like the first suspect, like Louis was saying.
Always the first suspects,
Yeah, but like, just because he was the friendly funny, like, it was so shocking. Whereas, like, Stu is like, was kind of a jerk, so when you know it's him, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense. That works.
But Richie, I was just like...
I remember I screamed. I was like, "Oh, Jack!" Because we're such big fans of Jack Quaid. We were like, "Fuck!" Yeah. Excuse my language, but that's how it was in the theaters. But their motive. So back to the motive. I just felt like it was a little bit of Mickey's motive, kind of wanting to be famous and make his own movie. A little bit of Jill and Charlie's, again, remaking the original, wanting to be famous. But it did elaborate a little bit more on both Mickey and Jill's motives. Like, it was more like, we are hardcore fans, like, we deserve the movie we want. And there is that type of mentality online. Like, hell, look at the finale of Game of Thrones and how many people petitioned to have a new one recorded or filmed because they hated it so much. People were so passionate about how bad.
Like, we deserve.
So I believe that mentality, but also... I really hope the human race isn't that selfish. Like, you're going to go around killing people just because you didn't get the movie you wanted? That's such a pussy motive. I'm going to say it. Like, I really thought they would have something wild. Like,
I definitely thought it was going to be more of a connection. Like, we were thinking it was going to be Tara and Amber. Because... I mean, like, Richie told Sam, like, she's the one who's trying to get us out here, you know, whatever. And she didn't die. And so, you know, it's like, oh. And you're like, oh, she's upset because Sam left, you know. But...
And people, we've talked to other people about that, and they're like, well, no, that wouldn't make sense because Tara was so injured. But I think that's...
I don't think she was... that. Yeah, like, I don't think she had to been a ghost face, though, but it was just, like, in with Amber.
I think that would have been
cool, out with Amber.
Because then, totally thrown us off track. Boom, Tara's the first kill attack, and then Amber does all the other killings, but then surprise, Tara is a part of it, and she could just sit there.
And I mean, she was beating Amber up at the end. She could have, and they had guns, so she could have used the gun easily. Well, she did. So
she did. She did wield a gun very well. We saw
her crutches.
I think that would have been more interesting than stuff we've seen before. And
I mean, I am glad that it wasn't her because I think Jenna Ortega was amazing, and hopefully she'll be back in the next one. But
and our friend Rob did say, like, what if this is the first time they have a leftover killer? But I don't know if that's technically a first time because we've had Roman. So Roman may not have killed people in Scream, but he definitely instigated and pushed Billy, like gave it to him on a silver platter, basically.
Yeah.
But Rob did say
that would be actually almost exactly like Roman then.
Yeah, and it makes sense.
If Tara does end up being involved in it, because like we said, obviously she couldn't have done any of the killings in this one if she was just like kind of making Amber do it for her. You know, so it would kind of be the same. But
yeah. So he was kind of saying it would be cool if in the next film Tara is revealed that she's been in on it the whole time, which I don't hate. I like that idea, but I just thought something like that would have shown up in this film. Just the way they were saying, like, we're gonna shock you guys. We're gonna. Yeah. It's like I don't hate this motive, and I definitely think it's realistic. There are some really greedy and angry people out there that if they don't get what they want, they get vicious on the internet and crazy shit happens. I definitely believe it. It's not like it's an unbelievable motive. I just was expecting so much more. Something more intense, something more wild, something more in your face. Like, let's look at the fact that the character Vince, played by Kyle Gallner, was used for 0.25 seconds and he was Stu's nephew? That would have been incredible.
And Kyle is a horror icon.
Yes.
Wasting him.
Wasted. I'm not saying he needed to be a killer, but put him more in the movie. Make his character more interesting. He might know some stuff about his father from his mom. Like, everybody wanted Stu back so badly. This was the opportunity to bring a little Stu to life. And they not only killed him off in a hot second, but they showed his death in the trailer. That was disappointing.
Yeah.
Granted, the way his blood shoots out his neck, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, ooh, I like that.
And I did like how they obviously, included the song that's in all the movies, but like the way they did it through playing it through his, like, in his car.
Red Right Hand.
Cool. Yeah. Instead of just like as the score.
I 100% agree. And you heard it before I did. I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, listen. And I was like, oh my God.
It's the song.
The song's playing. So that was boss. Good catch there. All right. So we were disappointed in the motives, but they did give us some stellar performances, as Morgan pointed out. So let's talk about the other characters now that we've gotten the killers out of the way. Who did we like? We really liked Wes.
Yes, we're big fans of Dylan Minnette. His acting career and his music career. If you don't know, he has a band called Wallows, so you should check it out. He sings and plays guitar and stuff, so yeah. And if you stayed for like the credits of Scream, their song I Don't Want to Talk actually played in the credits, so yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome, and we loved it. We definitely stayed to listen to that song.
Yep.
But Wes's character, along with his mom, Judy Hicks, they were two of my favorite things about the film. I really loved them.
Yeah, they were great.
Yeah, I felt like Wes's whole scene, Wes and Judy's whole scene leading up to their deaths was one of the best things about the movie. Something that I 100% think they did right. Granted, I didn't really want either of them to die.
Yeah.
Especially Wes. Judy may have been expendable. Sorry, Judy. But Wes, I would have loved to have seen so much more. Out of the new cast, I think we saw more of Wes's personality than anybody else, except maybe Tara and Richie's and Sam's. Like, we saw what they were like. But out of everyone else, we got to know more about Wes. I feel like we could tell that him and his mom had a really close relationship, that he obviously cared about her and his friends, taking the time to call Tara's sister to bring her back home and, taking care of Tara while she's in the hospital, checking in on her. He obviously seemed like a caring person, and it was tough to watch him die. It was so down to the last details of him setting the table, waiting for his mom to bring home sushi.
Yeah,
and
that's so sad.
Us knowing his mom was not coming home with sushi, that she was dead on the doorstep. That was really hard to watch. And I was telling Morgan that I wasn't a huge fan of Judy Hicks in Scream 4. I didn't really like the whole, I'm going to try to get Dewey for myself because we're so team Dewey and Gail that, yeah, I didn't like Judy so much. And she was so creepy. They tried to make her like the red herring in Scream 4. But in this film, even though she was in it so small, I liked her personality so much more. I love that she was like a mama bear and that to the end, like she was still being herself. Like the line when Ghostface asks her, what's your favorite scary movie? And she's like, I prefer animations and musicals. Like I'm sure some people probably thought that was so stupid, but I loved it because that was so Judy, true and true, being herself even in like the middle of a crisis. I loved it. So, and then poor Judy wondering if her son was gonna live or die. Oh, that was her last moments, worried about her child.
I was definitely not expecting her to die right then. I thought she was gonna like walk in on Wes being murdered and then die, like he died first and then her.
Yeah.
And it was the other way around because Face just popped out and
bam.
That was shocking.
It was very shocking. That whole scene, well done. That is something I really enjoyed. Even if it was hard to watch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of the other characters?
I really liked all of them for the most part. I really liked Chad because I feel like he kind of was a typical jock, but not just
Hobbs and Shaw.
That was so stupid, but so funny.
Yeah.
And like he seemed like sweet and caring and not like not a complete like I don't know meathead jock.
Yeah.
But and Mindy, obviously, his sister, they're good. But I feel like I liked pretty much everyone. Liv, I feel like we didn't really get to get too good of a feel on her.
Yeah.
And
there were some weird edits there, like when Wes says, oh, Tara's awake, let's all go to the hospital, and Liv stays back. But then we never find out why Liv stays back. I think there's a deleted scene there, maybe with Vince. Maybe she did go talk to him and was giving him maybe some
that's what I think.
Encouragement to come back to the bar later. Like something was going on there, I think, that is in a potential deleted scene, but who knows?
Yep.
But they did try to make her a little more interesting when she turns on Mindy and is like, you say I'm boring and that I can't be the killer. You're the expert. Like that was cool, but like I still feel like we needed a little more from her. And they kind of just made her the typical hysterical girlfriend in high school. I don't know. I didn't really like that because I feel like she could have been so much more. I think that actress is really beautiful, and I feel like she herself, like on her Instagram, is really, really interesting, and I feel like they could have done more with her character than the typical annoying girlfriend. I don't know.
I did like how like she was the one that wanted to have sex and not Chad, and Chad was like hold up. That like was, he still had like the Randy and him too, like his sister, he's like not the best idea. I don't think.
I agree with that, except I think it would have been smarter if he was like, or more touching, because the party was for Wes. We see that awesome sign, obviously a tribute to the character Wes, but the real life Wes Craven. Obviously they did that on purpose. But I feel like instead of him being like, I don't think we should do this because you might be a killer, even if that is a little bit of Randy, I agree with you. Yeah. But I also think it would have worked if he was like, I'm still mourning. Like, this is supposed to be a memorial for Wes, and we're going to go upstairs and have sex for the first time. Yeah. And I feel like that would have been very special. I think both situations work, but yeah, I could see why she did get a little upset, being like, you're my boyfriend, I love you, like, you think I'm the killer? But I didn't really.
But it also was kind of weird because then, like, earlier when they were at the tables, he was the one talking about, like, sex. And she was like, but then they, like, flipped it. So that was a little weird. But
yeah, it was, oh well. Everything can't be perfect. So Mindy was also great. I liked her as well. I do feel like, again, it's like Randy and Kirby. I do wish we would have gotten a little more from her. The stuff we did was great. I liked how we get that whole scene of her in front of her uncle's shrine where she's like talking about maybe this is what the killers are doing. They're doing a requel or remaking the movie, whatever. That whole monologue was great. However, she's supposed to be the expert, right? And she's sitting there telling everybody, don't go here alone, don't do this, don't do that. And she's being judgy and being like, I'm judging you, I'm testing you. But yet, how do they not know they're in Stu's house? And if she does know they're in Stu's house, why is she in Stu's house? If she's so smart and she's so woke that she knows better, why is she hanging out when a mass killer is on the loose in Stu Macher's house where the original murders took place? I don't think she would have stepped foot anywhere near there.
Or I feel like that's another thing. I feel like a lot of the issues with the film, they could have maybe not fixed completely, but made better with literally just like one line. Like they could have made her say one sentence about it and been like, I'm only here because a bunch of people are here, you know?
Right.
It's not like we're alone or something.
Right. I agree. Aside from Amber and then later Sydney and Gail, it seems like no one knew that was Stu's house. No one said a word until Sydney tells Sam on the phone, do you know what house you're in? Like, you're in the house. And then it's like the whole camera tilts like, oh, fuck, I've been drawn here. How did nobody know? You're such big Stab fans. Like, this whole town, it's a small town, they say.
Yeah.
Everybody should have known that that was Stu's house. Because she was even like, well, how did you know my dad is Billy Loomis? And Amber was like, well, your mom's a drunk and it's a small town. Well, if it's such a small town, then how did those kids not seem to know they were in Stu Macher's house?
Also, to that point, the dad, like, I feel like since it's like Amber was saying, it was a small town, and she was saying like everyone knew about the Billy Loomis thing, but like then why did Sam and Tara's dad like, leave? I guess when he like officially found out for sure, he's like, okay, maybe he had suspicions, but found out officially and was like, peace. Which is just awful to do, but whatever. We won't talk about that because he's not even in the movie, so.
All right, so let's talk about the obvious, heartbreaking kill that I think we all knew had to come someday. Dewey. R.I.P. I think I said, I don't know if I said it in a video, I'm pretty sure I said it to my friends and online, that if anybody was going to die, it was going to be Dewey.
Yep.
And I definitely think they showed too much because they showed Gail screaming in a clip or a trailer and someone holding her back. I definitely think we talked about that in the trailer breakdown. I think it was kind of obvious that Dewey was coming based on that and based on the fact that Dewey was already having a rough time of it in this film, it seemed like. Yeah. So it was heartbreaking to watch his scene with Gail. That scene in general was really hard to watch because their performances were so good, but then also they have a real life history, and I feel like that probably brought a lot of feelings to the surface for both of them, and they probably drew from that, so that was really hard. I definitely cried. But then his death was really hard on me as well, and was it hard for you?
Yes, but I feel like not as like sad since like I definitely knew it was coming.
Even though I knew it was coming, it was still really hard. I love David Arquette so much. I think he's such a kind and genuine person and a true soul to himself. I don't know, he's just true to himself, and he's always been nice at conventions, clearly loves the fans, and is just happy to be here. You can just tell he's happy to be, on this earth. And I love that about him. So when Gail was calling him as he was being killed, he kind of looks at it and he sees her picture on the phone and kind of makes his face like, I'm so glad this is the last thing I'm seeing. Or also like, I can go now. Like, I don't know. It was just the look on his face made it seem like everything was going to be okay. And that broke my heart. So R.I.P. Dewey. Did we feel for a second that they were also going to kill Gail when Amber shot her?
I don't know. It's hard. I didn't think they were, but there was like a second I was like, maybe. But I don't know. Ultimately I felt like, no, they're not going to kill her too, though.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they would have done more than just have her, die by getting shot.
Yeah. Interesting, for sure. I, for a hot second, was like, no way. People are going to be so pissed. Yeah. But yeah, it didn't happen, so.
But back to Dewey's death. I think even before, like, I think probably when it was first announced and we were like theorizing what's going to happen in this movie or what can they make happen in this movie? How can they take it? You know, with our friend group, we did talk about like the reason Sydney was coming back was because of Dewey dying. So we got that right. Well, I mean, obviously our theory was off a little bit. We thought that was maybe going to be like the opening or something, you know, and they were actually going to have like a funeral for Dewey. But I mean, for the most part, you know, we were right. Yeah. That's why she came back.
Yeah. We were disappointed that the only moment Dewey and Sydney got was a phone call and not an in-person thing. But it does make sense that something big had to bring Sydney back. She said she had kids. She has a husband, which sounds like this Detective Kincaid from Scream 3, Patrick Dempsey's character.
Yes.
Because his name's Mark. So it sounds like they finally got together. So it made sense that Dewey's death had to be the thing that brought her back to Woodsboro. But it still would have been nice to see them reunite. So you're telling me the last time we see them visually together is Scream 4? That's kind of a bummer. And the fact that him and Gail only got one scene, even if the scene was powerful, I wanted just a little more. I don't know. But what are you going to do?
Yep.
Yeah. But, all right, so to wrap this whole thing up, we'll give it a rating again, as we did with our spoiler-free review. I will wrap up and say, overall, I just didn't like the motive at all. I think that's my biggest issue. I feel like they could have done any other motive, and I probably would have been happier. So that really bummed me out. And I just felt like there was some lack of character development, but the characters we did get to know, I truly, truly loved them. So that's my biggest thing. If anybody is wondering what my issue is, it's definitely the motive. And it's probably CGI Billy. Didn't do it for me. But I would give this film 3.5 out of 5 stars.
And for me, like I said, my biggest issue with it was definitely the CGI Billy. But yeah, I also wasn't too big a fan of the motive. But I thought it was a little like tame but it still didn't like, I don't know. I still liked it, so yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought most of the acting was really, really good. And even though we could have used a little bit more character development and gotten to know the characters more, I feel like they were still interesting. And so, yeah, I give it a 4 out of 5 stars.
Okay. And let's add a little something else in there. Right now, when it's fresh, because we've only seen it twice, not like the other films that we've seen over and over, what is your new ranking of the Scream franchise?
Oh, Lord.
I know. Take a minute to think. I think, you think, because I just threw that on her. I think mine right now is, 1 and 2 are always neck and neck. They switch places for me. So 1 and 2 are kind of like the number 1 spot. So it would be like 1, 2, 3, 5, 4. I think that's where I'm sitting at. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 4. I think that's where I'm at right now. Obviously, that could change after a few viewings, but do you know yours?
I think mine would be 1, 2, 5, 3, 4.
Yeah, that kind of works. That tracks with how we're rating it with the stars as well.
Yeah.
So I could get behind that. I feel like with a few watches, maybe I could like this more than 3, but it might take some time. So we'll find out. So we appreciate you guys tuning in to both our spoiler-free and spoiler reviews. We hope you enjoyed them. Comment below with what you think of the movie. Were you happy? Well, not happy, but what did you think of Dewey's death? And if you didn't want Dewey to die, did you want any of the legacy cast to die? And if so, who? Yeah, just leave us with your comments and thoughts below. We want to hear it. So yeah, and make sure you go and follow Morgan's Instagram and check out all the links we have below. And tune in next week. We'll get back to talking about collection items. I definitely have some new stuff to show you, so stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, we want you to
keep it weird
and make it Maggie and Morgan. Bye guys, thanks for watching.